In the busy city of Festac lived a young girl named Chisom. She was orphaned at a tender age, and so the responsibility of raising her fell on her aunt, Auntie Ada, who was her mother's sister. From the very beginning, it was obvious that Chisom was different, not because she was particularly tall or short, neither because she had an extraordinary talent for anything, but because of her deep and undeniable love for food. Unlike most young girls of her age, who would be forced to go to the kitchen to learn how to cook, Chisom needed no one to force her. The kitchen was her place of joy. "Chisom, come and help me in the kitchen," Auntie Ada would call out, and immediately Chisom would run to the kitchen. "I am coming, Auntie." Immediately Chisom sees the ingredients waiting to be transformed into a delicious meal, her face would lighten up. But it wasn't just the cooking that excited Chisom, it was majorly the eating. She could eat anything at any time, and no matter how much she consumed, her body remained slim and thin. It was as if her belly was a bottomless pit. At first, Auntie Ada found it amusing. "Ah, Chisom, you and food, sha," Auntie Ada would say, shaking her head as she watched Chisom devour a mountain of rice. "You better be careful before you eat me out of this house." Chisom would laugh and shrug, continuing her meal without a care in the world. But as the years went by, her eating habits only became more noticeable. And one particular incident made her auntie stop seeing it as being funny. Chisom was often left in charge of feeding her little cousin, baby Ifoma, when Auntie Ada went out to the market or for work. It seemed like a simple task. She just needed to make some baby food, feed the baby, and then go about her day. However, for Chisom, the baby food was not just for the baby. "Chisom, I am going out," Auntie Ada announced one morning as she grabbed her handbag. "Make sure you feed Ifoma and make sure she eats the porridge. Don't let her play too much before she eats." "Oh." "Yes, Auntie," Chisom replied eagerly. And the moment her auntie left, Chisom mixed the baby's porridge, carefully stirring the pots. Ifoma was playing on the mat, banging a wooden spoon on her empty bowl. "Time to eat, Ify," Chisom said, dishing out the porridge and placing a small portion in the small bowl for the baby. She fed her cousin dutifully, smiling at the baby's gummy smile. But as soon as Ifoma was full, Chisom looked at the remaining porridge and couldn't resist it. "Ah, this porridge is too good to waste, though," she muttered to herself as she grabbed a spoon and started devouring what was left in the pot. In few minutes, the pot was scraped clean. Hours later, Auntie Ada returned home. She dropped her basket of vegetables and sniffed the air. "Ah, it smells like porridge," she said. "How is Ify? Did she eat her food?" Chisom grinned. "Yes, Auntie, she ate very well." But as Auntie Ada picked Ifoma up, she frowned. The baby did not feel as plump as usual. "Why isn't this child adding weight?" she mumbled, eyeing Chisom suspiciously. But that suspicion turned into full-blown certainty one afternoon when Auntie Ada returned home earlier than expected. She walked into the house just in time to catch Chisom sitting with her legs crossed on the floor, eating the baby's food with delight while Ifoma played nearby. "Chisom!" Auntie Ada's voice thundered through the house. Chisom's spoon froze halfway to her mouth. She looked up, wide-eyed, and swallowed nervously. "Auntie, I already fed Ify. I just did not want the food to waste." "So you're telling me that you, a grown girl, you are competing with a baby for food?" Chisom dropped the spoon and began to plead. "Auntie, I swear, I fed her, but my body, if I don't eat, my body will start shaking. It's not my fault, Auntie, I can't help it." Auntie Ada could not believe what she was hearing. But she eventually sighed and waved her hand. "Just clean this place up and stop eating like a glutton." But the situation only got worse. One day, Auntie Ada asked Chisom to cook 4 cups of rice for dinner before she returned from the market. Chisom, make sure you cook exactly 4 cups, no more, no less. And don't eat anything until I come back, Auntie Ada warned before leaving. Yes, Auntie, Chisom replied obediently. But as the rice cooked and the aroma filled the air, Chisom's stomach began to rumble. She tried to distract herself by sweeping the floor, but the smell was too tempting. Before she knew it, she was sitting at the table with a steaming bowl of rice in front of her. "I'll just take a little," she whispered to herself. But after the first spoonful, she couldn't stop. She ate one bowl and then another, and before she knew it, the entire pot of rice was empty. When Auntie Ada returned and saw the empty pot, she was livid. "Chisom, did you eat all the rice?" Chisom stood there shaking in shame and fear. "Auntie, I don't know what happened. I just took small. I did not know when it finished." Auntie Ada threw her hands up in disbelief. "This girl will finish me. Do you know that rice was supposed to be for the both of us for this night and tomorrow? How can one person finish 4 cups of rice? From this minute, no more food for you until tomorrow evening. The rice you ate is your 3 square meals for the day." Chisom's eyes widened. "Auntie, please don't do that to me. I beg you." But Auntie Ada was firm. She locked the kitchen and hid all the snacks away. By 10 a.m. the next day, Chisom's body began to tremble. She tried to ignore it, but soon she could barely stand. She was visibly shaking. Auntie Ada, who saw her knees shaking like a leaf, panicked. Chisom, what is this now?" She rushed to the kitchen, unlocked it, and hurriedly gave Chisom food before she would collapse. "Take and eat, before they will say I killed you because of food." Auntie Ada was no longer comfortable with Chisom's situation. She knew that something had to be done, and so she decided to test Chisom's limits. She cooked an entire bucket of rice and set it in front of Chisom. Eat everything. Maybe if you overeat, you'll finally learn your lesson." But to her shock, Chisom happily grabbed a spoon and dug into the rice. In just a few minutes, half the bucket was gone, and by the time Auntie Ada blinked, the whole bucket was empty. Auntie Ada stood frozen with her mouth open. "Chisom, are you an elephant? How did you finish all that rice?" Chisom shrugged, licking her lips. "Auntie, it wasn't that much now." It was at that moment that Auntie Ada realized that she had a serious problem on her hands. "I am taking this girl to church. This is spiritual." Years went by and Chisom grew into a beautiful young woman. She started working as a teacher at a nearby primary school, but her love for food followed her wherever she went. It wasn't long before everyone at the school knew Chisom as the teacher who was always eating something. One day, a young man named Shola asked her out on a date. Chisom was really excited. She dressed up in her best clothes and met him at a nice restaurant. "Order whatever you like," Shola said to her with a charming smile. But unknown to Shola, he just made the biggest mistake of his life. Chisom did not need to be told twice because she ordered a mountain of food. And before Shola could blink, she had finished it all. She even reached over and ate some of his food too. Shola just sat there staring at her speechless. "Are you not going to finish your food?" Chisom asked innocently, pointing at his plates. Shola could not bear it, so he excused himself to go to the restroom, but instead, he ran off and never returned. The only luck Chisom had was that the restaurant was a pay-before-service restaurant, so Shola had already paid for the food. However, this became a pattern. Every man who showed interest in Chisom eventually ran away after witnessing her insatiable appetite. Her close friend, who worked in the same school with her, was also worried about Chisom's relationship with food and tried to caution her. "Chisom, you need to discipline yourself. You are gradually eating your way out of marriage at this rate." But Chisom did not care. "I know the man who will love me for who I am is out there. He will soon locate me," she said confidently. And sure enough, one day she met Kola. He was different and did not mind her eating habits. He would even make jokes about it. "Chisom, take it easy with the food before you swallow me next," he would laugh. But Kola was patient and kind. He loved Chisom and knew that she just needed discipline to help her with her habits. After going out together for 1 year, Kola decided to propose to her. He knew how much she loved food, so he decided to hide the engagement ring in her favorite food, pounded yam. On the day of the surprise proposal, they went to her favorite restaurant. Kola had already made the reservation and the plan with the restaurant, so they served the food with the ring hidden in the pounded yam. Kola sat anxiously and watched Chisom closely as she devoured the pounded yam, waiting for the moment she would discover the ring so that he could go on his knees to ask her to marry him. But to his horror, she swallowed everything without blinking or choking. "Chisom!" Kola shouted, filled with panic. Chisom paused and looked at him. "What is it?" she asked, confused, and her mouth was still half full of the pounded yam. Kola's hands were trembling as he leaned forward. You just swallowed my engagement ring." His voice cracked as if he could not believe what had just happened. Chisom blinked and her eyes grew wide. "What?" she exclaimed, quickly swallowing the last bit of food and looking down at the empty plate. "The ring was in the food?" Kola buried his face in his hands. "Yes, I put the ring inside the pounded yam. I was going to propose to you. Who swallows a whole engagement ring?" His frustration was obvious and he looked at Chisom in disbelief. Chisom's heart cut into two. I did not know, Kola. I'm so sorry." She stood up from the table, nervously touching her belly. "Maybe I can cough it out." Kola had seen and heard it all. "Cough it out, Chisom. You swallowed it whole. The only way it will ever come out is if you poop it out," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. Chisom, who was now panicking, tried to cough a few times, but nothing came up. The reality of what had just happened settled over her, and her face turned pale. "Kola, please don't be angry. I didn't mean to." Kola held up his hands and stopped her. "Let's just go. That's enough for the night." Chisom felt heavy, not from the pounded yam, but from guilt, as they left the restaurant in silence. For days, she did not hear from Kola, and the weight of what had happened tormented her. She then decided to confide in Auntie Ada. "Auntie, I swallowed Kola's engagement ring," Chisom said as she sat down beside her aunt in the living room. Auntie Ada's eyes widened in shock. "Eh? Chisom, is that why you have been looking like someone who lost a fight? You swallowed an engagement ring." Chisom nodded shamefully. "I didn't mean to. He hid it in the pounded yam and I ate it all without knowing." Auntie Ada shook her head slowly. "Chisom, I warned you about this, your love for food. That is what happens when someone cannot control their appetites. Now look at the trouble you are in. You swallowed your chance of getting married. This is the one man that willingly accepted you the way you are." "I know, Auntie," Chisom sniffed. "I feel so bad. What do I do?" Auntie Ada sighed deeply. "Only you can help yourself, Chisom. I tried to correct you when you were younger, but you always thought I was being wicked. If you don't take this seriously, it will keep affecting your life." Chisom knew that her auntie was right, and for the first time, she saw how her eating habits had spiraled out of control. Not only had she embarrassed herself multiple times, but now she had also jeopardized her relationship with Kola, the man she truly loved. She was determined to make things right, and so she started to discipline herself. She started by eating food in small quantities and using water to fill up her stomach. She then went to look for Kola. She found him sitting on a bench in a park, gazing off into the distance. His face lit up when he saw her, but there was still a trace of sadness in his eyes. She sat down beside him. "Kola, I know I have messed up. I am really sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you or ruin your proposal. I promise I will change." Kola looked at her. "Chisom, I love you, but I need you to understand that your eating habits are damaging you. It is more than just about food. It is about discipline. You have to learn to control yourself and not let the food control you." Chisom nodded earnestly. "I will. I am already trying to change. I have started eating in small portions and I drink more food to stay full. I don't want to lose you because of this, please." Kola smiled gently. "That is all I ask, Chisom. We will walk through it together." With Kola's support, Chisom began to transform her relationship with food. She started with small steps, eating smaller meals, practicing restraint, and resisting the urge to snack every half an hour. It wasn't easy. There were days when her body screamed for more food, and she had to fight the urge to devour everything in sight. But gradually, her self-control improved. One afternoon, after a few months of working on her habits, Chisom returned home from school to find Kola waiting for her at the door. "Kola," she exclaimed in surprise, "what are you doing here?" He grinned, holding a small box in his hand. "I believe it is time for a second proposal." Chisom smiled shyly. This time around, Kola opened the box and revealed the most beautiful engagement ring she had ever seen. It was safe and sound, not hidden in any food. He got down on one knee and took her hand. "Chisom, will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Kola, yes." They both laughed, relieved that this proposal did not involve any choking hazard or disappearing rings. Their wedding was a wonderful celebration, filled with love, laughter, and, of course, plenty of food. But this time, Chisom had learned to take it easy, enjoying each bite without going overboard. And as she and Kola began their new life together, she knew that her love for food would always be a part of her, but it would no longer control her. Thank you for watching this story. Let's discuss in the comment section. Are you a foodie? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a foodie are you? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones. Subscribe if you've not done so. And like this video too. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!